This is the Hot 7 Nightly News.
Good evening. It is Wednesday, 30th April 2025. I am Daniela Edwin. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We are on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and the Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page. Not forgetting those of you using the Hot 7 plug and play antenna. Thank you so much for joining us. On April 29th, Mon Fortune came alive with joy as the view at the Mon was formally opened to the public, marking a significant milestone for the island nation's tourism industry.
Mon Fortune was awash with celebration on April 29th as the view of the Mon officially opened its doors to the public. The newly redeveloped site, designed to better accommodate both local vendors and international visitors, marks a significant milestone in the island's ongoing efforts to enhance its tourism infrastructure. The opening ceremony was opened by Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Tourism, Dorleen Viet, who delivered a gracious address outlining the government's vision for the site and its role in the broader strategy for sustainable tourism development.
So prior to COVID-19, this facility was known as Mon Lay-by. It was deemed by the Department of Infrastructure to have compromised structural integrity and was declared unsafe. The NCA gave notice to the vendors or the operators, highlighting the safety issues and requested that vending should cease. Some vendors vacated the space, while others remained, encouraging locals and visitors to utilize this space. And I'm so happy they got a special blessing this morning. Obvious concerns set in our minds: the absence of the lay-by, which provides the most spectacular view of the city, the interruption of livelihoods for so many vendors and their families, the change in aesthetics of this pristine location, especially being next to Governor General's residence, the interruption of the use of this facility as a pit stop for vendors as well as taxi drivers, as well as the competitiveness of our tourism product.
Tourism Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire has extended his gratitude to the CARICOM Development Fund for its pivotal support in advancing the Community Tourism Initiative, a cornerstone of the nation's evolving tourism strategy. Speaking on the significance of the project, Dr. Hilaire described the initiative as a transformative step forward, hurdling it as the next generation of visitors' experience in Saint Lucia, aimed at deepening engagement between travelers and local communities.
Tonight is going to reveal the next generation of visitor stops in Saint Lucia. This is the first that would be officially open. There are many more to come. The best is yet to come. In the next few months, we'll have the magnificent opportunity to open as fair lookouts. Those of you who had the sword turn in, you know that it is going to be a very special lookout in Saint Lucia. But we also plan to start work very soon on a lookout in Canaries and in Soufrière, overlooking the World Heritage Site and the Pitors. And we will be, as we go around the island, develop those sites, those lookout spots, or what we call visitor stops. And of course, like was said by the Permanent Secretary, it is more than just a stop. For us, it's an opportunity to create economic empowerment for our people, to enhance economic and commercial possibilities. It's also to offer really decent and civilized conditions for our visitors and citizens when they stop at sites like this.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre has extended his heartfelt appreciation for the construction of the newly established viewpoint, describing the development as a project he staunchly supports and regards as a reflection of his core convictions.
What's happening here is what I believe in. I really believe. And I was highly criticized in the beginning for saying that there ought to be a philosophical underpinning for the tourism industry, that the benefits of tourism should accrue to the people, as many people as possible. And at that time, it was believed that I was being either dreaming or not knowing what I was saying. But I knew that if the industry had to survive, the people ought to be involved. And we took some small steps at a time. We took some very small steps. We opened the gate at the vendors arcade to allow people from the cruise ships to come into the vendors arcade to do some shopping. And we did something here. And I'm very proud and very happy that owners continued.
The tourism industry is confidently charting a promising course toward a brighter future, demonstrating resilience and renewed optimism in the face of global challenges. For Hot 7 TV News, Josiah Bissett reporting.
According to Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, amendments to the police pension scheme means police officers no longer have to wait until the retirement age of over 60 to access their pension payments. Once they have met the required length of service, he says, they will receive their pension as early as the age of 55.
In his 2025-2026 budget address, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre announced that officers including police, firemen and correctional officers who are NIC contributors have served at least 20 years and are 55 or older will now be eligible for an NIC pension. This, according to Pierre, bridges a 10-year wait gap.
Before, the police, when they had 20 years service, in spite of their age, they could have left. Non-contributory. They didn't pay NIC, they didn't pay anything. In 2002, on the advice of the World Bank and the IMF, they said it was not sustainable. So the police joined and went and they paid the NIC. But they had to meet the pension age.
The Prime Minister explained his rationale for amending the timeline, noting that this new policy has been welcomed by officers.
I said to myself, how can a policeman at 65 years or 60 years run behind someone's broke the law, or fireman climb a ladder? So he said, listen to me, we are going to give them the same 20 years service, but they must reach the age of 55. So once you serve 20 years service and reach the age of 55, you can get your NIC pension. Here's what that means. If you leave the force at 40, get your pension at 55. If you leave the force at 55, you can get your pension. So that's just how it is. 20 years service and 55 years of age. Which the police, I understand, are elated because it was a great concern for them having to get their pension at 60 years of age.
As it relates to gratuity, which is a lump sum payment granted if an officer has not completed the minimum service requirement for a pension, Pierre says a different scheme will have to be devised.
There's no change in gratuity. The rules are the same as the pension, but we're going to form a committee to look into the gratuity, whether we can have some sort of pension scheme or gratuity scheme for policemen and public servants. But right now, it's just the pension.
Additionally, effective January 1st, 2025, a pension income became tax-free. A one-time payment of $600 will be made to pensioners in November of 2025, and from July 1st, 2025, NIC pensions will also be increased based on the cost of living index. Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Jasmine Duncan.
Deputy Opposition Leader Guy Joseph's recent remarks regarding period poverty have drawn harsh criticism from Senator Lisa Jawahir, who described them as a shameful example of the opposition's lack of support for women. Jawahir defended the government's $250,000 budget allocation for sanitary items in schools, calling the move a crucial step toward menstrual equity.
Senator Lisa Jawahir has expressed firm disapproval of recent remarks made by the Deputy Opposition Leader Guy Joseph regarding to the issue of period poverty. Addressing the matter in a wake of the Prime Minister's budget statement on April 22nd, which earmarked $250,000 for the provision of sanitary products in schools, Senator Jawahir appreciates the government's commitment to supporting female students. She further recalled that while in opposition, her party had petitioned the previous administration to reduce the value-added tax on sanitary napkins, a request that was ultimately denied.
The Prime Minister, in his caring and compassionate way, allocated $250,000 for the purchase of feminine hygiene products for secondary schools to reduce the incidence of period poverty effective September this year. And the opposition has a problem with that. Madam President, when we were in opposition and I debated on a bill on VAT exemptions and begged the UWP to remove VAT on sanitary napkins. They laughed at me in 2020 and they said, "You seeing things overseas and you want to do it here." Madam President, yes, Scotland passed the bill at the time in 2020 to ensure that schools had sanitary napkins. But this United Workers' Party believes that this is wasteful. They are telling you, Saint Lucia, that this is wasteful and shameful. And I am wondering, shameful, Madam President? How dare the opposition call this shameful?
Senator Joahir condemned members of the opposition for what she describes as a shameful failure to defend the women of their constituencies during a recent parliamentary debate on period poverty. Speaking passionately in the chamber, the senator underscored the severity of the issue, highlighting its impact on young women across the country. She went on to commend the government for taking what she called an important first step for addressing menstrual iniquity through its new initiative.
I was completely disrespected. I felt disrespected. And I look at people who came to the gallery and listened to even the opposition speak yesterday, and not even that they could speak to. Madam President, government of Saint Lucia is proactively implementing policies to eradicate period poverty, recognizing it as a pressing public health and human rights concern. And Madam President, we are one, ensuring educational equity in doing this. Period poverty adversely affects students' attendance and performance, and giving them $250,000 in this year's 2025-2026 budget provides free feminine hygiene products in schools. The government aims to ensure that no child, no girl will miss school due to the lack of access to sanitary products. The government's initiative to regulate the prices, because remember the Prime Minister first came and he removed VAT on it to regulate the prices. And eventually we plan to put it on the price control list, as the Minister for Commerce once said. It demonstrates our commitment to equity and supporting women's rights. Madam President, we are also addressing the economic disparities, because the high cost of this product can burden low-income families. Removing VAT on these napkins, putting it in the schools, reduces financial barriers, making these products more affordable. Madam President, but that is shameful that none of them could come here and defend the thousands of women who wake up very early on the line to ink their finger for them. They could not come in this honorable house and defend them. That is shameful.
With efforts to tackle period poverty gaining momentum, Senator Joahir has affirmed that the newly introduced legislation will provide crucial support to young girls across the society. She emphasized that the measure marks a significant step forward in promoting the equity and dignity of the next generation. For Hot 7 TV News, Josiah Bassett reporting.
Coming up next, a budding singer Manasseh Stanislas is set to grace the stage at Jazz, and Lucian Blue Ocean has reopened its doors. The details to these stories and much more when we come back.